floor. Of course, others had to test that out, that hypothesis, and the hashtag Vans Challenge was born. Even Steve Van Doren of Vans, the guy who made them, got in the fun. Here he's throwing his Vans all over, and they landed sole side up. Now, apparently this has morphed into Crocs as well.
Oh, really? Well, Vans have a thick sole, so that makes sense to me. Crocs are kind of more equal weight.
Out of it I am. I didn't even know what Vans were. I had to ask you.
Yeah.
So if you have some Vans, starts right now.
Right now at a $90 million expansion planned for the state might be chipping in.
An ad in a local news school district will explain.
Plus, a former Green Bay Packer fullback known for his goal line touchdown said to retire in the green and gold.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. A proposal to redevelop the Alliant Energy Center could get a significant investment from the state.
Governor Evers is proposing that his capital budget cover $30 million of the first phase of the expansion project. Rose Schmidt talked to community leaders and stakeholders who say Dane County and the entire state could benefit from the plan. Rose?
Yeah, so Dane County officials expect that the project to expand the exhibition hall would create more than 600 net new jobs and generate $25 million in income tax money over the next 2 decades. Under that proposal, the state would provide a third of the money and the rest would come from taxpayer money as well as private partnerships like naming rights.
You can almost always expect something to be going on inside the Alliant Energy Center's exhibition hall.
We're making this investment because many of the venue users have outgrown the facility.
Governor Tony Evers is announcing that the state plans to chip in $30 million for a planned expansion project that will convert the hall into a full-service convention center, almost doubling the size in order to compete with other locations.
Many of the prospective users are opting out for other venues with that have adequate space and amenities located outside of the state of Wisconsin.
A trend that Evers wants to stop and instead expand the number and types of businesses that come to the area, creating an economic development boom.
So often South Madison is looked at as last, and there's not a lot of investment made here traditionally.
Currently, Alliant Energy Center hosts events like the Dane County Fair and the World Dairy Expo, and organizers are excited to see the end result.
It's one that we think has some real opportunities for improvement for our attendees and our exhibitors at World Dairy Expo.
The bad news for them is that the project is expected to take years to complete.
There's also probably some challenges relative to the construction phase and the timing of the project, and we'll certainly have to work around those to minimize the impacts to our attendees.
But the good news is that with the state's dairy industry facing challenges, county leaders say this expansion couldn't come at a better time.
It's still the dairy state, and that's why what we do here has an impact statewide.
Dane County officials say design plans are still being drawn up to expand that exhibition hall, so they don't yet know when shovels will go in the ground, but it will not be this year.
All right, Rose, thank you.
Nearing the end of the cold snap, we hope. Your first alert weather meteorologist Dana Fulton on the weather patio. Dana?
We are all hoping, keeping our fingers crossed, but yes, overall things really look like we're in an improving state right now, heading towards the weekend and even into next week. Now, right now it's still a little chilly at about 22 degrees in Madison currently. The wind chill feels a little closer to 13. We are looking at a breeze overnight, so our wind chills will be a concern through the rest of the evening. Today, of course, hitting high right at 23, starting off that low this morning at about 2 for us. So a cold start to the day. We should have been in the upper 30s this afternoon and in the low 20s for us early this morning. That just wasn't the case. Our breeze right now, anywhere from 5 to 15 miles per hour, really what we're expecting to see overnight at about 7 for us in Madison right now. So it is a little breezy. That wind chill, of course, dropping our temperatures down, or at least what it feels like quite a bit throughout southern Wisconsin. Currently feels closer to 14 in Janesville and in Mineral Point, about 13 in Madison. With our Doppler track, things will stay quiet for us overnight. There's a slight chance for some flurries to come through late Thursday. But what we're really focusing on, I guess, is our quiet night tonight and our next big system coming through before the weekend. We'll take a closer look, though, at that timing for what's ahead Saturday and Sunday in just a few minutes.
All right, Dana, thank you. Fitchburg police are looking for a suspect after a woman says she was assaulted in the Princeton Club parking lot. Police say a woman said a man followed her after she exited the gym around 8 o'clock last night. When she opened her car door, the man pushed her into the car and punched her multiple times. The victim said she started to scream and the suspect ran away.
We'll be checking with surveillance video around that area. We're going to be adding extra patrols in the area as well, around all of our health clubs in the area.
Police say the suspect is described as a black male, about 18 to 24 years old, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, with a stocky or muscular build and short hair. If you have any information, please call the Fitchburg Police Department.
A Sauk County board member has resigned his position after more than 20 years on the same day that he made an initial court appearance on child pornography charges. William Wenzel appeared in Sauk County Court after being charged last week with 5 felony counts of child pornography possession. Judge Patricia Barrett granted Wenzel a $5,000 bond. He had served the Sauk County Board since 1997. He's due back in court April 17.
A Cross Plains man was arrested at his home after he reportedly groped a woman in a bookstore. Madison police say a 50-year-old woman called them after she was groped at half-price books on Whitney Way. The woman said she yelled to staff members, and the man, later identified as 46-year-old Jeffrey Klingbeil, left the scene. An employee was able to get a license plate number off of his car, which led police to his Cross Plains home. Klingbeil faces a tentative charge of 4th-degree sexual assault.
Community members in Rock County are showing their concern with the Milton School District.
Today, a full-page ad was taken out in the Janesville Gazette criticizing the way the district and its board members have handled the investigation of stipends to administrators. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter spoke to the man who took out the ad and joins us from our bureau at the Gazette with what could happen next. Adam?
Well, Eric and Susan, we first learned about stipends given to the school district of Milton's top administrators back in the beginning of February. And since then, the school district has actually launched its own investigation into this to see if it was done legally and properly. Today in the Janesville Gazette, a Milton resident took out a half-page ad criticizing the way the district has handled all of this. He says he's trying to draw attention to something he feels the district has tried to cover up.
There's a high level of non-disclosure, secrecy, if you want to use that word, which is probably correct, which is what happened with these stipend payments. It was done in secret. It wasn't disclosed. It was only after it was exposed that people started to admit that these were the actions that they had.
I also spoke to several members of the school board today who say they've been instructed not to comment on this until the findings of the investigation have been released. School board president told me that the investigation is now over and those findings will be released tomorrow night in a closed-door school board meeting.
Adam Duxter reporting from Janesville. Thank you, Adam. Today marks 4 years since Tony Robinson was shot and killed in one of the most high-profile police-involved shootings in Madison history. To honor Robinson's memory, a march and candlelight vigil is being held tonight from 6 to 8 o'clock at the Social Justice Center on Williamson Street. That is just down the street from where Robinson was fatally shot by Officer Matt Kenny. The police department and the Dane County District Attorney determined that Kenny was following protocol when he fired his gun that night, and he was not criminally charged.
The city will pay for security at an apartment complex on the far west side. The Madison City Council approved $145,000 for security. This is at Tree Lane Apartments, $20,000 less than the amount previously proposed. That money will be used to staff the 45-unit building around the clock by at least one person trained in trauma-informed practices and conflict de-escalation. Police have been called to Tree Lane Apartments hundreds of times since it opened last summer for gunshots, fights, and other disturbances. The extra worker will help support security staff already working there.
Kidnapping victim Elizabeth Smart is scheduled to speak in northwestern Wisconsin next week to help the region cope with the high-profile Jamie Kloss case. Prosecutors have accused 21-year-old Jake Patterson of breaking into the Kloss home just outside Barron in October, killing James and Denise Kloss and abducting their 13-year-old daughter. They say he held her in a cabin for 3 months before she escaped. Elizabeth Smart was 14 when she was kidnapped from her Salt Lake City home in 2002. The Barron County Sheriff's Department posted on Facebook saying Smart will speak at the Barron Area Community Center on March 15th. She will talk about her experience and moving forward.
After a break last year, the town of Middleton is bringing back its Sunflower Days at Pope Farm Conservancy. The event will take place between July 26th and August 4th. The amount of people visiting the sunflowers grew from an annual handful back in 2007 to 90,000 people over 10 days in 2017. And due to safety concerns because of those large crowds, the Friends of Pope Farm Conservancy, a volunteer group, canceled the event last year. The town of Middleton has now hired a local event firm to help host the event. Practices for high school track and field are underway, but softball and baseball practice, they start soon. But with a half a foot of snow still on the ground, coaches are prepared to get creative with their scheduling. The athletic directors within the Big 8 Conference are meeting this week to discuss the spring sports season, where MMSD Athletic Director Jeremy Schlitz says they will likely talk about the weather. And just like last year, an expected late spring may mean some doubleheaders or combining meets. It's something Schlitz says has almost become the new normal for spring teams.
We've got a lot of practice in rescheduling, and I know our athletes and coaches and parents are being great about being patient and flexible, working through what's been a difficult, year or so of weather when it comes to competing in high school athletics. And we're hopeful, April 1st, everything turns around, it's dry and a dry and warm spring, so we'll see.
Schlitz says as the seasons begin, they will find ways to get creative and train indoors, like using gym spaces and weight rooms for practice. Most area schools are already accustomed to that after last year's difficult spring and a late snowfall.
A former Green Bay fullback has announced he is retiring as a Packer. The team says John Kuhn will retire with Green Bay. Kuhn played for the Packers for 9 seasons from 2007 to 2015. After playing with the Green and Gold, Kuhn played with the New Orleans Saints. He played in the second most regular season games in team history, among running backs and fullbacks being only former fullback William Henderson.
There's more to come on News 3 now. At 5 up next, singer R. Kelly has been taken into custody. We'll tell you why he is back in jail.
And border security is back in the spotlight. We'll tell you who is in the hot seat as Congress holds multiple hearings.
And on Wall Street, more red numbers. The Dow off 133 points. The Nasdaq dropped more than 70. The S&P 500 fell 18. We'll be right back. A longtime Jeopardy game show host Alex Trebek announced earlier this afternoon that he is in the battle of his life.
This week, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now, normally, the prognosis for this is not very encouraging, but I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to keep working, and with the love and support of my...
The American Cancer Society says pancreatic cancer is the third leading cause of cancer-related death in the United States, killing more people than breast cancer. Trebek said he was aware of the low survival rates, but he said in a lighter tone that he still has 3 years left on his contract.
Singer R. Kelly is back in jail tonight over unpaid child support.
The Cook County Sheriff's Office says Kelly won't be released from jail until he pays $161,000 in back child support. Meanwhile, he has broken his silence about the 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse against him in an exclusive interview with CBS News. The embattled 52-year-old R&B star is charged with 10 counts. Authorities say 3 of the 4 alleged victims were underage.
Have you ever had sex
No.
with anyone under the age of 17?
No.
Never?
No.
I have to tell you, it's so hard to believe that based on all that we've read.
I'm going to tell you something, Gail. There's one
you.
I'm going to tell you
What the women
something.
said about you.
What women said about me. What women. So nobody's allowed to be mad at me and be scorned and lie on me.
Mm-hmm. So they're lying on you. That's your explanation. They're lying on you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kelly was acquitted of child pornography charges in 2008. He faces up to 70 years in prison if convicted on the new charges.
Congress held several hearings today looking at border security and the president's national emergency declaration that would allow him to take money from various government projects to fund a southern border wall. Customs and Border Protection reported February numbers showing the highest total of undocumented immigrants crossing the border in 12 years. Families with children made up more than half of those detained. Democrats pressed the Trump administration officials on the zero-tolerance policy that resulted in family separations at the border.
You knew that that policy was going to result in children having to be taken away from their parents. That's a policy. You should admit it.
The consequence of any adult going to jail in this country is they're separated from their child.
And next week, the Senate is expected to vote on a House-passed resolution blocking the president's declaration to get border wall funding.
Michael Cohen is on Capitol Hill for a 4th day as House Democrats continue to ramp up investigations into the Trump administration. Several House committees and the Senate Intelligence Committee are investigating the president on multiple fronts. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler, requested documents from 81 people and entities after Michael Cohen's testimony last week. Legal experts say the Judiciary Committee's probe could be the most serious for the president.
Because impeachment starts in the Judiciary Committee, the House Judiciary Committee, whatever the House Judiciary Committee is doing should give the president greatest pause.
We put out a statement and called Chairman Nadler's absurd and abusive fishing expedition exactly what it is.
Johnson says both sides may end up in court in a fight over access to documents.
All right, we are starting slowly, ever so slowly, to head in the right direction with our temperatures. Your first alert forecast, meteorologist Dana Fulton. Dana?
Very slowly, gradually, steadily, but it is a little slow. Outside right now, actually, we still have a little bit of sunshine, sunset. It's about 15 minutes away for us. We started the day, of course, with a nice sunrise, and throughout the day actually had a pretty clear sky for us. It really wasn't too bad outside, just a little cold, and thankfully, our breeze was calming down just a little bit, so our wind chills didn't drop nearly as much today. Now, our Doppler track is going to stay calm overnight. We're looking at a partly cloudy sky for us this evening, and we're not expecting any flurry chances to come through for us overnight. We may see some snowfall off to the east, but nothing for us. Our next potential for a little snow is going to slide in late on Thursday. Low pressure off in the plains is going to stay pretty far south in the Midwest. So it'll be rain and snow throughout Illinois and Indiana, but we might see a little bit of flurry action on the southern edge of Wisconsin. Not expecting much to come through again. That's later on in the day on Thursday. This trough on the northern edge of the state, as it slides southeast again, might bring some snow over to Michigan, but we're not really expecting to see anything for us overnight, just a partly cloudy sky. By tomorrow morning, our temperatures will be just above zero. Our wind chills will be just below zero. So still cold, but not nearly as bitterly cold outside. By tomorrow afternoon, our wind chills start to climb up into the teens. Our temperatures actually will be a little more mild as well, fairly similar to today, just adding a degree or two on. Overnight, we're expected to fall to about 4 for us in Madison. Throughout southern Wisconsin, it will be in the single digits early on in the day on Thursday. By Thursday afternoon, in the mid-20s, still about 12 to 15 degrees below average, but better than where we were. Late Thursday night into early Friday morning, that flurry chance is going to come through. Again, that's mainly south of Madison, right along the state line. Not expecting any accumulation, just a flurry chance early in the day on Friday. And then throughout the day on Friday, a variably cloudy sky with our next weather maker starting to slowly slide in late Friday, throughout the day on Saturday and on Sunday for us. So Saturday, we slowly start to see potentially some light flurries early, but much of the day is really going to be rainfall for us with heavier rain at times. The rain transitions back over to a wintry mix early on Sunday, and then we're expecting light snowfall throughout the day on Sunday. That rain coming through on Saturday could add up to about an inch of rain, which may not sound like much, but again, our storm drains are backed up right now with snow and ice blocking them, so we could be dealing with some isolated flooding spots on Saturday because of that concern with the rain coming through and the possibility for heavier rain at times. We do still have that alert day in the forecast for Saturday. On Sunday, not expecting much snow to come through, but that transition from rain to snow really could lead to some slick roads for us. Overnight, we're looking at a low of about 4 to start off your Thursday. Those breezes will anywhere from 8 to 15 miles per hour for your wind speeds, so it won't be picking up too much, but enough that you'll notice it outside. Tomorrow afternoon, again, our temperatures will be in the mid-20s, but we're expecting our wind chills to be in the teens. A partly sunny sky, but still pretty cold outside. Slight chance for some flurries heading into Thursday. Night, mainly south of Madison, and those alert days are just for Saturday and Sunday right now. Notice next week our temperatures will finally become a little closer to average in the mid-30s for Monday and Tuesday, and then we're looking at another warm-up for the middle and end of next week. Right now, I do want to take a look at what's going on our roads. I have some good news for the eastern portion of the Beltline. If you get closer to Gammon Road, here's our live look right now. Both east and westbound seem to be smooth there, but if you get a little closer to downtown, or at least to 151 and closer to 39 and 90, speeds reduce quite a bit. Eastbound side down to the mid-20s for the speeds. On the westbound side, usually things are going a little smoother, but we are seeing a delay there, some brake lights at about 14 miles per hour once you get past 151. But again, things get a little smoother the closer you get to Gammon Road. And there are no accidents to report right now, which is always a good thing. Up in Sauk County, not seeing any delays around Rock County and Jefferson County. Things should be fairly smooth if you're getting ready to hop on the road. A bit of a delay eastbound Sauk City to Middleton, just about 20 minutes. Janesville to the Beltline will take you 26 minutes, 19 minutes from Sun Prairie to downtown. Now northbound from Verona to the Beltline, about 17 minutes. Same goes westbound for Oregon to the Beltline. And then from Springfield to University Avenue, a quick 5-minute drive. That's a quick look at traffic.
All right, thanks, Dana.
Ahead at 5, races at the famed Santa Anita racetrack in California are canceled after nearly 24 horses die. That story, the News 3 Now at 5 returns. All racing is canceled at a Southern California racetrack after another horse died during training. It is the 21st horse to die there in the last 2.5 months. Chris Martinez with the latest from Arcadia, California.
The tracks at Santa Anita Park remain closed indefinitely as race officials try to figure out how another horse seen here died there during training.
It is a tragic loss, and we're not too sure why it happened.
The 4-year-old filly named Let's Light the Way was euthanized Tuesday after shattering a bone.
If you want to be a realist, yeah, it's worrisome.
21 horses have died after being injured during races or workouts at Santa Anita since late December, triggering protests at the site. The tracks were shut down for testing last week so experts could evaluate the racing surface. Officials at Santa Anita Park now plan to conduct additional safety testing on the main racetrack here, using a special device to see how it holds up to the horses galloping at full speed. The region where the track is located has received almost 12 inches of rain in recent months, but it's unclear if the weather played a role in any fatalities.
They seal the racetrack, and then they open the racetrack, and they seal it again, and it gets harder and sometimes harder and harder, and I think that's been a problem as well.
In a statement, the chief operating officer for the group that owns the racetrack says the safety of the horses and jockeys is a top priority, adding, while we are confident further testing will confirm the soundness of the track, the decision to close is the right thing to do at this time. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Arcadia, California.
And the horse deaths led officials to cancel some of Santa Anita's most popular races, including the San Felipe Stakes, which features 3-year-old Kentucky Derby hopefuls. Another check your forecast when we return in just a moment. Stay with us.
Here's a look at some of the stories we are working on tonight. R. Kelly is now in custody following Gayle King's explosive interview. We're going to have the latest from Chicago, and we will talk with Gayle about her conversation with R. Kelly. Also, we have an Eye on America report on the closing of a GM plant in Ohio and a story of survival from Alabama. Tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And Dana's here. Look with a final check of the weather.
We're expecting another cold night for us, falling into the single digits for us to start off your Thursday. But Thursday afternoon will be in the mid-20s, pretty similar to today. There is a slight chance for some shower or some flurries late at night into Friday. Notice our temperatures by Saturday and Sunday much warmer outside.
We're back in 30 minutes with more updates. Stay tuned for the CBS Evening News.